Hi, everybody. I'm Professor B. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Professor B. Davis here at the Satellite Digital Media Studios here in San Francisco. Welcome to a special edition of 49ers Live here at the studios in San Francisco. Welcome. We're going to be giving you the coverage of the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch season-ending press conference in its entirety. We're waiting when they'll have that on the air. We'll bring Niners Radio 49 will bring you the full coverage of the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch press conference in a few minutes as we're here on Satellite Digital Media or on Niners Radio 49 here in San Francisco. We'd like for all of you coming in as we are now 1 week into 2025. We'll recap the season. We'll get you that feed out there in just a few moments. We're waiting for the video stream, or we may just have to do pick up the feed from some source. So we're gonna hold tight. We'll get you out there to Santa Clara in just a few moments. So just to look back at the season of this kind of a disappointing year, uh, as we're going to try to bring you that press conference, and they're running a little bit behind schedule. So we're going to bring it to you in just a few moments. So let's just take this brief time out and see if they're ready yet. If they're ready to do the press conference left, we will give it to you in its entirety. So, the Niners recapping this disappointing 2024 season after the year after they reached to the Super Bowl, and we're gonna and we'll talk about that in a few moments' time. So, let's just take this quick time out and. So we'll just so let's take this time out. We'll be right back. Professor B here at the Satellite Digital Media Studios in San Francisco. You're watching 49ers Live. The Kyle Shanahan, Mike or John Lynch season press conference on Niners Radio 49. We'll be right back. All right, we do got we're able to pick up the stream. They don't have it videoized right now, but we're going to pick up the audio version. We're going to pick up that feed from the 49ers flagship station, KBR 680 104.5. John Lynch is on the mic talking to the press right now down at Santa Clara right now. So we're going to send that to you right now to pick up the press conference. The video feed is courtesy from our friends at KBR 680 104.5, the home of San Francisco 49ers football. We'll pick up the audio stream from right now.
We've had a 5-year run with 4 NFC championships, 2 Super Bowls, and you have to go back to the fundamentals of really building the thing. The lifeblood of your organization needs to be strong drafts because it gives you young players that you have under contract for. And so I think we had multiple, I think 7 players that were starters off that draft class, whether we expected them to be, they did, and they gained really valuable experience. I even had free agent guys like Evan Anderson who contributed, a lot. And so I think we're really excited about this rookie class and that movement. We got to continue to add to it. We have 10, probably right now 9 draft choices we think we'll have 10 with a comp pick, but we need to continue to add to it in that way, and hope we continue to have hard decisions because we have a lot of great players here.
You mentioned this is not the first year that the special teams have struggled here, and widely noted you don't take a real detailed interest in special teams. Does that need to change a little, Kyle? Can you get more involved? Do you need to get more involved?
I mean, what do you mean by I don't take interest in special teams?
Well, you say you're not watching the kicker tryouts and that kind of.
Well,
I know they're offhand.
Let me help Kyle there. I would tell you, Kyle spends an inordinate amount of time with all phases of our team. Special teams is extremely important in the way we construct our rosters. The time is there. Now in kicking, neither of us are kicking specialists, so we don't sit here and profess to know everything about kicking and things of that nature. But the time issue, I'm sorry to interrupt, Kyle, but he spends plenty of time there.
I just don't BS you guys.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, you turned it around on me there. But no, I just don't BS you guys with that stuff. But to say, we spent some heavy draft picks on special teams players, which I think is an investment. We spent some salary cap on guys. Bringing guys like George Odom, having Flanagan Fowles here these last couple of years. That's bringing back. Those are special. Losing your kicker, losing your punter, when injuries do affect the roster, especially offense and defensively, what it did affect the most was special teams. And I think that was unfair to Brian and a tough situation to put him in. But I do think it's an avenue we can get better in, and you can't change the whole thing out. And so Brian ends up being the fall guy for that, and I really appreciate him. He did have a real good 3 years here and worked his tail off and was very loyal to us and is a very good coach, and he'll bounce back on his feet, and we'll be going against him soon, I'm sure. But no, special teams is part of football, and everything part of football is extremely important to us.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you wanted to find some
to make when it comes to guys that were just period. Looking forward, you got some hard decisions to make when it comes to roster changes and coaching changes, right? So there were some videos circulating on the internet from the families of a couple players that would lead some people to believe that Drake Greenlaw knows whether or not he will be here or not. Has there been any conversation where he's been given a definitive answer of his future as a Niner?
No, we don't even know, guys. We haven't. We haven't spent much time together yet. I've had 2 days with exit interviews with players and coaches. Players don't know either, and that's what's hard for players. They're under contracts. They know when their contract's going to run up. That's an emotional time for players, for their families, for wives, girlfriends, whoever it is, kids, just like it is for coaches when I can't always tell them exactly what their future is going to be the day the season ends. It's tied to a lot of other people, and I know I've been on that side. I know wives are texting you all day asking what the deal is, and they don't believe that you really don't have an answer yet. And I know what they look like when you walk home through the door and they're like, what are we doing with our lives? And you're like, I don't really know. There's a lot of things that you want to solve so fast for people that is stressful for people to sit in our chairs. But you can't solve everything at once. A lot of things are tied together, and when you hear things like that, or Greenlaw, we're doing everything in the world we can to bring Greenlaw back, and we're not into losing really good players who are unbelievable people. So we're going to do everything we can to never lose really good players who are good people. But that's also a very hard challenge, very hard, and that's something that you don't just talk about in one meeting. There's too many things that connect to that. Draft, free agency, roster, years, all that stuff, and that takes weeks, months to decide.
And I think the only thing I'd add to that, the communication with the players, what's most important. And I know I sat with Dre and always have great discussions with Dre. I know about his want to be here, and I know our want to have him here. And like Kyle said, there's realities and there's tough decisions and so many factors to all those things. But believe me, the desire on both sides is there.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you wanted to. What was I going to? Go ahead, Jake.
You mentioned that the scheme, because of personnel, it was harder on Nick. When you look at the defensive line, I think the wide 9 is coming to scrutiny. How much do you view, especially in the run game, the struggles there being schematic, and how much of it is personnel?
I think it's a little bit of both. First of all, regardless of injuries or anything, this year is most disappointing to me because regardless of injuries, I feel we should have been a playoff team. And then you never know what happens in there. But when I go back to the hardest thing for me this year was those 3 games I've talked to you guys about. First one versus Arizona, first one versus LA, first one versus Arizona, second one versus Seattle. I thought we should have won those games, and we lost them at the end by I thought our own mistakes, which means we would have been 8-2 going into week 11. And that was the hardest thing and then we had some real bad injuries, which were going to be tough. But that's to me what made it steamroll to where we didn't have a chance to make the playoffs. So when I look at that stuff, like that's the stuff that I feel we got to fix the most. And is that scheme? Is that personnel? I mean, that's football. You got to adjust. I mean, your scheme changes when people are getting hurt, when you can't do exactly what you want to do. It happens on offense all the time. You guys are going to see. I hear it from you guys, but I mean, the offense looks different when a different quarterback gets in there. It looks different when Christian McCaffrey gets in there. It looks different all the time, and that's how defenses can be too. But you have to build it that way, because it's really hard to just change something up in 3 days of practice. You got to have that foundation of how you implement it and where you think the season can go, and that's what you really truly try to build in the off season, and then in the training camp. And that's something I think we'll be better at building this offseason, having a little bit more time to do it, being a little more prepared for it, because we saw where it went last year. And that starts with getting a coordinator in here who can help us map that out. And once we do map that out, it goes right to free agency and how to make sure we can get the best possible situation that we have out of the situation that we're in. And then it goes to the draft. And when that's over, all the guys are here, and then you get to work.
Same lines. You had mentioned a couple weeks ago that you wanted to find the root causes for the down season beyond the injuries. In your mind, what do you feel those root causes were?
Yeah, I think my point there was you don't just want to say it was injuries, because like Kyle just mentioned, we had games within our control. In spite of or despite those injuries, we were in position to win a lot of games. So I think you just want to dig deeper and you want to look at everything, and that's what we'll do. That's part of our process. That will always be part of our process. We can go more in depth this year. I think you always try to look for the positive in situations, and there ain't a whole lot of positive not being a playoff run. You have to make it a positive because we have this time. How are we going to use it? And I think we can focus a little bit more on where we want to go, where we want to evolve in both personnel, scheme, all these things, and that's what we'll do. We'll take advantage of the time. In a sense, it kind of energizes you to come back and have this time to really put our minds and our staff's minds together to come out with the best, to give us the best opportunity to compete going forward.
Been doing this for a while now, and drafted Greenlaw and Jennings and Purdy and guys that are insane competitors. Did you know going into the draft those guys were insane competitors, and how do you find more guys like that?
I can't say you always know. Like Jawan Jennings, we don't spend a lot of time watching like highlight tapes off the internet, but up in the draft meeting someone said you should watch this highlight tape, and so we did that with Jawan, and it was insane. It really was. It was so you kind of had an idea of the type of competitor, and I smile when I talk about Jawan because I love the way he plays. I love the way he competes. You don't know on every player, but I think the process and the way we include everybody, the way we pair personnel staff with coaches, and the thorough process we have, it's a good process. So you find guys like that, and I think we're going to rely on that process and challenge to continue to get better. What we know is when we have consensus up there, we do really well. And, we've done that, and we need to continue to do that.
On to make any changes to the offensive staff, and related to that, I know Clay, you let him call plays in the last game. How did he do there, and do you expect his role to grow or shift within that structure?
I thought he did an awesome job, and Clay's role is going to be the same as it's been, which has been the offensive coordinator. He just hasn't had that title yet. I mean, Clay's done as much as anyone on offense for these last 2 years. So this was his second year doing that, and he gets better and better each year at it. Just hasn't had the official title yet, and now he'll get the official title, which he more than deserves. But it's more about, recognizing what he's already been doing and doing at a high level.
Call plays, or were you delegate that sometimes?
I mean, yeah, I'll continue to call plays, but Clay and I have done everything here the last 2 years together, kind of hand in hand. When we put the game plan in together, yeah, I call it. Only one person can speak to the quarterback, but him, Furster, Fleury, those are the guys I rely on through play calling throughout the game. It's not like I'm just in silence there calling every play. I'm discussing it with the guys we prepared for it with in the week, discussing it with the guys who are talking with their players and what they see, and it's the same thing we all did for Clay versus Arizona.
What Ricky went through, how do you both judge the season he had?
I thought Ricky had an unbelievable season. I know the gunshot wound is the biggest, obviously, but I've never had a rookie player miss all of OTAs in training camp and have much of a successful rookie year. It's tough to do that. For him to do that and then get into week one, which I knew he would be way behind because of that situation, and then get a gunshot wound kind of made me think that we were going to get nothing from him, and just in terms of how could we and how hard that would be on him, but how quick he came back from that. And then when he did, just to watch him go through rookie things in a live NFL game and stuff, and then having to watch him come back from that stuff throughout the year and still hit a rookie wall without a foundation of an offseason and stuff like that, I thought it was a huge success for him this year.
Yeah, I'd agree. You have these exit interviews, and you always take away impressions. And the coolest thing, some of these rookies are typically, they're just done. You think about it, long college year, right to combine training. You get drafted, you go, OTAs, all that. Ricky, one thing he said to me, Mr. Lynch, I just want to keep playing because I feel like I'm just getting my feet underneath me. So that's really cool that he has that excitement, and he's going to use that. I said, now the key is you use that to motivate you through this offseason. And the best players, they don't ever take a rest. They shutter down the intensity and things like that, but they never rest. And so his mindset, I can tell, is right. He's a really good football player. Proud of the way he handled a lot of adversity, things that nobody could anticipate, and worked through it. And I think we're going to have a really good football player.
On that note, behind the scenes, we talked to Mooney kind of for the first time yesterday since what happened to him and Trent and Chris Furster and Ricky. You guys had a lot of things that are not typical, pretty brutal behind the scenes. How hard was that behind the scenes, and how did you both navigate?
That stuff's always tough, and and the football season's so intense for everyone. That's why anyone who's really been my friend over the last 20 years realizes you're not going to know anything about him for about 7 months, because we kind of go into a hole and you get caught up in the season and all that stuff. But we all do have families and stuff out, and that does weigh on people. But you still got to come and you got to do your job. But that stuff is hard, and you watch guys go through it, and it's I think it. You don't like to watch anyone go through something tragic, but you really watch how impressive people can be going through that stuff. It's when you watch people really grieve and things like that, you realize that's the hardest thing all humans have to deal with. But then to watch people who are grieving so badly and still have to come into a room and then go perform at a high level, which is a whole different type of pressure, and to watch them handle it and get through it, you realize how much stronger some of this stuff makes those guys, and then inspires guys around them, and it does make you closer at times. But I think our stuff was pretty documented this year. But there's stuff like that every year. Maybe not quite as big, or as many of them, but a lot of teams deal with that stuff, and we've been through a number over these years. And just going through it with Chris Furster and his wife last year, just her passing away a week before the Super Bowl and things like that, and going through it with Johnny over the years, when him battling his cancer and things like that. Everyone has those tough moments in life, but when you have to do it through this, it is unique. But when you go through it, I think it does make people a little bit closer and a little bit stronger for going through some of those moments.
And that's this is it's a production based business, and we're paid to win games, compete for championships. The one thing I will say, acknowledging that we fell short of that standard, I am proud of this team, the way we hung together. It was, like Kyle said, there's always things, and there's things behind the scenes that no one hears about. Frankly, one of the craziest things about this job as a player, I prided myself with really knowing my teammates. There's so much stuff I never knew that I'm disappointed that I didn't, because now as I sit in this seat, so much comes to you, the challenges people are going through. But I will say that this season I've never had anything like it in terms of the amount, the severity, the unique circumstances, and I was proud of the way our team stuck together, had each other's backs, and stayed together, and I do believe we'll be stronger for that.
It's really tough to find instant impact offensive linemen. Does Dominic Pooney's success this year help you identify or further crystallize the blueprint, what you might be looking for?
Well, I think it shows that, our process worked there, and, but I would say he really exceeded our expectations. We thought we got a good player. I think he showed us a little more than that, and we were just talking about it upstairs. Everyone saw the real strong play, the consistent play. I think there's more in the tank, of where he can grow. I think the toughness, he dealt with some, he had an AC joint one week, and, we were really questioning whether he could play on Sunday, and he practiced on Wednesday, and I've had that same injury. I always prided myself on having a high pain tolerance. That stuff hurts, and he didn't miss a practice, so I think he's got the right mindset too, and we got to continue to find guys like Tom, because he's going to be a good player for us.
Question for both you guys. Kyle, how would you assess Brock's performance this year, and how important is it for you to have him back, in time for OTAs, just given that he's the quarterback and want to go through all that process?
Yeah, definitely. It's important to have our whole team back for OTAs. And it's actually, it's last year, it was like 8 weeks after our last game that our guys needed to be back for voluntary work and stuff, which I think is real important. And the year before that, it was like 9 or 10 weeks. So these last two, and then when we all got back, it was like, you could tell we all were back, but we wish we had a little bit more time. When I look at a calendar now and realize we have 14 weeks until we need to get back, like I expect everyone to be ready to go and excited to really get this going and play some football. And that starts with Brock. Like, Brock is the leader of our team. I've loved these 3 years with Brock. I plan on being with Brock here the whole time I'm here. So, like, Brock's been a stud. He's a guy I got a lot of confidence in, and just as a human. But it starts with what he's done on the field these last 2.5 years, and we're capable of winning a Super Bowl with him. We just almost did, and I know he's capable of getting the Niners Super Bowl in the future.
John mentioned a 5-year run for NFC Championship games. I know he wasn't saying that's it, but do you think you need to kind of set the stage for another kind of era or another refreshing? It kind of what's been going on, like what went on there was really good, and now it shifts a little bit.
Yeah, I think it shifted in that time also. I think we went to the Super Bowl in 19, and the next time we went, we had, we went in 19, we had a rookie receiver and a veteran receiver, and Debo and Emmanuel. The next time we went, we had BA. First time we had a different quarterback, and 4 years later, it's Brock. I think we did have different guys on defense. I think we look at, I don't remember the numbers, but I feel like there was like 8 guys who played in the 19 Super Bowl. So I think we have already done that. And I think you got to do it again, without a doubt. I think when you do come up short, like we did on February 11th last year, I do think in the offseason when how close that could have been, and it just comes down to a couple plays, and everything you want to think about is how to make that up. Because you do believe you can do that again. And I think that's when people talk about windows and stuff like that. And I think that's how we did spend our offseason, trying to look at how we could come back and make that game up and get to that point this year and pull it off. And we took our best shot at that, and it didn't go right. And now we're going to do it again. Does that mean like every thought is to try to get to that right now? I think whenever you think that way, you're selling your organization short. You got to always think right now, but you got to think big picture too, which to me in football is always on like a 2 to 3 year time frame. And I think we've been doing that really since we've been here. We've never fully sold out for that year. And but we always want to be competitive and feel like we have a chance to do that. And we felt that way about 5 years in a row, and we've gone to it twice. And I feel like we had very good opportunities to win both of those games. And that's the thought process we're going to have every year.
Both learn as a coach, a GM, about yourself and about the team with the whole Devondre Campbell episode?
What did we what? What was the first?
Learn about yourself as a coach and a GM.
What I already knew. That's something that we don't roll with, and it was hard to stomach. And once we saw it, we were done with it.
Question for both you guys. You guys been doing this a while together now, and you guys know the way football is. When you lose, it's a brutal game, and yet you guys don't point the finger at each other. The discussion's always like, do we have enough talent? Was it coached well enough? How do you resist the urge to fracture? How do you stay united through the pressure of this whole thing?
I think that's why I really wanted him to be here with me. I mean, John got in this for the right intentions. It was to try to put together a team to win a Super Bowl, and that's what he's committed to. That's really the simplest way that everyone says, but like in this business, you always go through hard times, but it's never just coaching, and it's never just personnel. It's everything. That's why there's never a quick answer, like on anything in football. There's 22 variables out there every play. There's a long season. There's lots of scheme that's involved. There's lots of talent that's involved. There's lots of just random stuff with injuries, referees, like schedules, weather. There's so many things that goes into play. And if you're in an organization where people's number one concern is surviving, which that doesn't mean they're a bad person. There's a lot of people who don't like to move their families, and there's a lot of pressure on people in that way. But when you know the character of a person and why people get into it, like John's not ever going to do something or talk in a way just to survive. And anyone who knows how I am, like I'm not like that either. Like you're not going to make a decision just to scapegoat someone or just to survive. It's hard to in this business because it's a cutthroat business, and it's hard to tell your family to move and things like that. But that's to me that's why John is who I wanted to work with, because I knew why he was getting into it, and those are the things. And I also knew what we were going to have to go through for a little bit, especially our first couple of years. And anyone who says they're going to be a certain way, when you go through those hard times, it's human nature. It's a little bit tougher to be that way, and that's why I feel so fortunate in just the situation I am in with someone like John, with someone like Jed, with how his parents are. Like it's just I've never sat like I can always just tell what I think from a football standpoint, and I know I'm going to get from John what he thinks from his football standpoint. It's not always the most fun answer. You got to admit a lot that you didn't do right, but that's the truth of it, and that's the only way that you can consistently overcome things and find a way to consistently be successful.
Yeah, and I would just say it's respect, and respect is earned, and we felt alignment when we came in here, and that's only strengthened since we've been here, and that's not always the case, and it's not just blind loyalty and blind trust. It's earned every year. But what I know about Kyle, he's a good person. I know he gives us, I say it all the time, he gives us an advantage, I think, every year, every week, and he's obsessed with always continuing to evolve and and I think when you have that, you have his natural instincts as a coach. You have the staff. People want to work with him. People want to work with us, and you gotta come to grips with the successes, with the failures, but never lose what the ultimate goal is. And I think we've been able to do that. And we challenge each other, but we have each other's backs, and that's a good feeling. And we got to keep forging ahead and get done what we came to get done here.
John, with the contract reworking for Javon Hargrave, setting up the post-June 1, what have you expressed to him about the plan and what you would expect from him, or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, just that, Matt. It was we had some salary cap challenges, and that was something that allowed for the post-1. You can early designate it, and what I told Javon is he's a player we really like. Same reason we went out and signed him. That hasn't changed. He's an impactful player. We do have some challenges, and so this doesn't mean we can't compete for his services. It allows him, though, rather than waiting until post-June 1 and being SOL because free agency already happened, it gives him an opportunity to go see what his market, and that may include us. So we'll get into our plans. We know Javon, who he is. He's on a good track coming back from his injury, and would we be interested in having him? Of course. Is that something we can come to an agreement on, and is it something that fits in our plans? We will see, and that's the exact conversations I've had with Javon.
Started free agency, he'll be free to decide.
Yes.
The Debo situation?
Debo's under contract, and yeah,
Expect him back.
yeah, a good player and has done a ton for this organization. And we're not in the business of letting good players out of here. So yeah.
All right, last one, Rex.
You just took my question.
Oh.
Then we're good.
I don't want to waste anything. You had to, with Armstead and Juice last year, obviously different results, but that was something you had to do with your finances. Do you expect to have to do more of that this offseason?
We will see. We'll see. We do. There are realities. There's challenges. Like I said, we've got a lot of really good football players. The York family has been really good to letting us reward our players, and we've done that in a number of instances. That becomes tougher and tougher to continue to do. So we'll look at every avenue to become a better team, and we'll see where that takes us.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that was you just heard live from 49ers headquarters in Santa Clara, the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, season-ending press conference. They're meeting with the media down in Santa Clara. Those guys watching this right now on Niners Radio 49. 49ers Live exclusive, the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch season-ending press conference. Live, and a lot of stuff coming out of this press conference on this little bit at Wednesday, past 10 minutes past the top of the hour, 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. A lot of you guys who tuning in on Niners Radio 49, catching this press conference. In case you missed it, unfortunately, we weren't able to get the video version live in its entirety, so we were able to pick up the press conference from KNBR 680 on the 49ers flagship station, KNBR 680. We like to thank them for their assistance. Good friends from KNBR 680 picking up that audio feed, so we did the best we could possibly do. We can with that, so a lot of things coming out of this press conference, with the injuries and the grind. Possibly Clay Kubiak's going to be assuming the role as the full-time offensive coordinator. He's the son of former NFL head coach and former the dad or the son of course, Gary Kubiak, who was a very long-time backup quarterback behind John Elway for numerous years, going back to their time with the Denver Broncos. And you talk with and I think that they had to have a kind of a period of rest. And Kyle Shanahan said it at best, when after losing that Super Bowl last year or last February, almost a year ago, to the Chiefs in that overtime, the team only had like 8 weeks to recover. That's 2 months, and then you have to come back, for OTAs, and you're really, mentally, it's hard to flip, and it takes a toll on the body. It takes time for the body to rest and heal. They need that rest, and and when you're grinding and dealing with football, is a very contact sport. It's a grind. You're taking all kinds of punishment, and looking back and, going back and doing it again in 8 weeks' time, in early mid-April, only 8 weeks removed from the Super Bowl, it takes it comes with it comes with that. Comes with a lot of time to heal mentally, emotionally, still fresh from that loss, because when you lose the Super Bowl, it's a kind of you only get that one opportunity. Because even when I talked last year after talking with to a Philadelphia Eagles fan who's I know very well his kid, starting quarterback for my alma mater high school here in in San Francisco. I'm not going to mention his name, but he told me, you're not promised to ever get back to a Super Bowl. And I think the lessons were learned from this year, that proved that the Niners, that these guys are human and mortal after all, because look what had happened, with the injuries. McCaffrey missing half of the season, only playing 3 games, and then he had that PCL sprain and missed the rest of the season. And, Brandon Ayuk tearing his Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And then Javon Hargraves possibly, he's going to have his contract restricted. It all comes with dollars, and then also, with injuries, when you get to the Super Bowl, plus you're playing in 4 NFC Championship games in 5 years, 3 straight, including the last three. It is not easy to be it's the players go through a lot. The grind of the you have the pressures of performing at a high level, at a high standard, and you have to it always put things into a proper perspective. So that was a good press conference. Glad we could join in on 49ers Live on Niners Radio 49, the Kyle Shanahan season where the Niners go from here, and they improve this team to bounce back. And we right now going to take a quick timeout. We'll take a brief timeout, and then we'll be right back right after this. You are watching or listening to 49ers Live exclusive. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch season-ending press conference. I'm here at the studios at Satellite Digital Media Studios in San Francisco. We'll be right back after this on Niners Radio 49. Welcome back to Niners Radio 49. So it's official. We just get through the, so it's official. The 49ers have promoted Clay Kubiak to offensive coordinator. He'll be the full-time offensive coordinator. And we're going to pull up some stuff on Clay Kubiak. He is the, got the wrong one, so on the Kyle Shanahan's and John Lynch's press conference. Congratulations to Clay on that new gig. So, a lot coming out of that press conference, with the 49ers. Like I said, in perspective, it's a tough time when it's for the players with the salary cap and, uncertainty whether Dre Greenwell will he be back with the 49ers and some other free agents as well. It's just a tough time for families and friends and the relationships, but it is part of the business, though. It is part of the business that it doesn't with one team or one place. It doesn't last forever, and you have to go and move on and move to other places, and so and then and then so and players move on, and when you're in this business, you know, so you also have to look at, what they're gonna, for other, the grind, the hours they put in, and you know, let me just get and then for this team with all the injuries, they just were a tired group. That maybe this is the best thing that could happen to them. They'll look and hopefully, they can get back next year to get this thing right again, and but this segment is presented by Cash Creek and Casino Resort. Feel like an MVP. Learn more. Visit Cash Creek and Casino Resort. Please play responsibly. And this is going to be for the Niners because they got the last place schedule. And also looking on my other stuff coming out of this. And I'm trying to take a look of it. We're going to get ready, just about getting ready to wrap it up. So other stuff coming out of this, Nick Wagner, Niners fullback Kyle Juszczyk said he considered the idea that today would be his last game, but he really, really hopes that's not the case. That's what he told. This is by Nick Wagner. Juszczyk has 1 year left on his deal, and after taking a pay cut last offseason, he says he's still playing at a high level and will play elsewhere at 25 if he doesn't return. Boy, that'd be tough if you lose Kyle Juszczyk, if the Niners ain't able to get him back. This is a tough business, a tough business and a hard salary cap. You just can't necessarily keep everybody. So this is what the Niners season with their last place schedule. These will be the 2025 opponents who the Niners will have on their schedule outside of of course, their division games at home and away. The Niners will have the NFC South. They'll have the Falcons, they'll have the Panthers and the Jaguars coming to the Mecca, and then the AFC South, another inferior division, the Tennessee Titans. Then the Chicago Bears will make a return back to the South Bay and 25 as well. And by the way, it will be, I believe it will be for the ninth time in the last 12 years that the 49ers will be playing the Chicago Bears in the regular season. Then, of course, you'll have your divisional games away. Then the Niners will travel to Northern Ohio to take on the Cleveland Browns. Then they'll travel down to take on the Houston Texans. Down there, former Niners assistant defensive coordinator D'Amico Ryans. They'll play the Texans. Then they'll play the Indianapolis Colts down at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Then they'll travel to the Big Easy, and which by the way, we take your thoughts and prayers to the people, to the victims of that awful shooting that happened. You all for watching 49ers Live exclusive today on Niners Radio 49, the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch press conference. And, take a look back of the season, what went right, and the ultimate what went wrong. And I'd like to thank all of you for watching online. In case if you missed the press conference, the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan press conference, you can always catch it back on youtube.com/@NinersRadio49 and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/@NinersRadio49. You can catch that press conference or this podcast in its entirety. And also, please don't forget to click the subscribe button. And our goal is trying to get 1,000 subscribers as we continue to build this thing and be one of the best podcasters in the NFL. And we'll be having daily updates. We'll also be giving you some latest 49ers news and get some Niners insiders to come on this podcast in the coming days and weeks. There's no off season as we turn the page from the 24 season into the new year of 2025. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and for the latest news on the 49ers and so much more, go to 49ers.com. And for now, Professor B signing off, and so long. Thank you for watching this special presentation of 49ers Live exclusive, the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch press conference recapping the 2024, now 25 49ers season on Niners Radio 49. 49ers Live is a presentation of Niners Radio 49 in association with the Satellite Digital Media News Network. 49ers football, faithful to the Bay. Wish all of you a very pleasant enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.